Shalom, shalom, everybody. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our Wednesday class, and what we're gonna do is a little prayer, and then we're gonna go into our lesson for the day. First of all, it's August the 12th, Wednesday, August the 12th, and so we're gonna do a little moment of silence for because we're anticipating the Most High's hand on our enemies and our oppressors, that he's working it out behind the scenes, that we be our deliverance is manifested. And so with that being said, we'll do a moment of silence and then go into the prayer. O Lord, righteousness and uprightness belong unto thee. Therefore we come before thee at this hour, seeking thy face, looking for righteousness and uprightness, that we may walk before thee as thy servant David and Solomon, Samuel and Hezekiah did, that we may walk before thee in truth and in righteousness and in uprightness of heart. Give unto us, O Lord, an understanding heart, that we may discern between good and bad, for you possess the power to turn us, O Lord. For we desire to walk after thee, O Lord, and to keep thy commandments and your testimony and your statutes with all our heart and soul, to perform the words of the covenant that was written down by your prophets. O Lord, allow thy face to shine upon thy people and hear our plea. Hear and do, O Lord, hide not thy face from us. We need you so very much at this hour. All praises to you. Okay. Got any current events? Anybody want to bring up anything that they deem worthy to talk about?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I don't know if anybody knows this or not, but apparently the days where a passport is required to travel to other countries is about to end.
Okay. So what's that mean? We need to just leave without a passport?
I'm sure they're going to put something in place, but
okay.
Yeah, but
okay.
it won't be. It won't be. They said they wanted to be free travel, but I read where it's talking about doing an iris scan. That's not going to fly. It might for some, but it's not going to fly for everybody.
Right. That's good news.
Yes, absolutely. And it speaks volumes as to what we know is about to take place too.
Right, exactly. Right.
And now I haven't listened to all the lyrics, but apparently Dr. Moonbi Saraki has changed her theme song.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know if anybody recall the words. It says, oh, in part, we know, we are the children of Yah. Well, from what I heard, that's gone. So perhaps they got the memo. They not children of Yah.
Okay.
But again, I didn't hear all the lyrics. I did not listen to the new one. I just heard parts of it, and I did not hear that. And I said, "Wait a minute. Let me go back to that again." They don't say that. So, but she's offering, if people want to purchase it or get a copy or whatever. So I'm gonna do that to see what other lyrics in that song has changed.
Okay. Yeah, well, from my understanding, she's Pan-Africanist anyway. Like most of the people you see are the guy, what's the guy? I think he made a little address to me. No, the president of Ghana, he made a little speech the other day, and he was praising Marcus Garvey. So from my interpretation of that, he's Pan Africanist. He's a Pan Africanist too. And the guy from Search for Uhuru, whatever that is, that he's a Pan African. So most of the people that's behind the scenes, just working everything behind the scenes, is they they all about going back to Africa. About Marcus Garvey.
Hmm.
And like I was saying, that the president for Ghana, which is something I didn't know, that black star that's in that flag, a Ghana flag, is directly associated with that Black Star Line, the Black Star Line ships that Marcus Garvey had, that was going to transport all the blacks that wanted to go back to Africa, and they sabotaged them and
Right.
sunk them.
Hmm.
But it was called a Black Star Line, and that's what that black star in the Ghana flag represents. I didn't know that.
I did not know that either.
Right.
Interesting.
Anybody else have any current events?
Kamala Harris is the VP.
Okay. All right, ain't that something?
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. It's crazy.
They got all types of memes online about her today. The other side.
What's that? Say again?
I said the other side got all types of memes and jokes and all types
Oh,
of stuff
okay.
going on her online.
Right. Yeah, I'm thinking that's gonna be that's gonna backfire. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like Sarah Palin backfired.
Right.
Yeah. Well, he ain't got long. He ain't got about 70 something days.
Something like
Before
that.
yeah, so yeah. Like I said, I think that's gonna backfire. But so what? I'm not. I wasn't. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Now, what you saying?
No, I was saying I didn't get to look at the full story, but it was a shooting or something outside the White House today.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. It was some guy was out there and they rushed inside because Trump was doing a speech, and they rushed inside and took him out. So I don't know if there was a direct threat toward him or what, but they rushed in there and got him out of there. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was a couple of days ago. Also, did you all know that those executive orders that he signed are all fake?
Oh, they are?
Fake,
Hmm.
fake. They
Okay.
nothing.
You mean fake?
Pardon?
You said they're fake?
They're fake. One of the Republicans called it unconstitutional slop. What happened was they in a deadlock for how much money, for to continue the unemployment. The Democrats want 6, Republicans want 4. So I guess he trying to run the election by taking the funk, like he doing some executive orders for the eviction.
Right.
There's no, they're in a deadlock. There's no agreement on those finances. So, you know, he's a liar. Okay, it's
Okay.
been all on the news. Yeah, I've seen it on the news. I didn't watch any news today, but yesterday. Uh, yesterday, yeah, on my computer when I was at the airport, on my phone. I was traveling through them airports. Yeah,
Okay.
it's yeah, it's a big mess going on right now.
Yeah, like I said, nobody don't want to make no move because they don't want it to backfire with less than 90 days left for the election. They don't want to leave. They don't want to go into the final phases of the election on a bad note. So nobody don't want to give either side don't want to give way to nothing. So it's just like a big mess. Yeah. So anybody got anything else? Okay, yeah. So what we're gonna do is go into the class, and what I'm dealing with today is it's pretty much like a overview of different different events and different women that is in the scriptures, in the Tanakh, and in some of the other books that we've Israelite books that we've discovered and dealt with. So it's just dealing with various situations, involving doing a comparison and contrast with the roles of the Israelite women in these particular events, and just like I said, we're going to do an overview, and then just do a comparison contrast as far as what's happening in the particular story, and how it relates to the culture of Israel, and how it relates to us as a people today, and our interactions with each other today. To just and like I said, the objective is for to bring out some stuff. Hopefully bring out some questions and shine a light on some stuff. And the thing about it is, like I was saying before, my objective is to bring out the truth of the matter, no matter what it is, and not just our time is so short. It's not to sugarcoat nothing, just bring it out. I mean, it's not to impose nothing on anybody or to denigrate nobody. Just looking at the Israelite culture and looking how what things make sense from what we gathered up to this point, and the things that stick out that that don't make sense. And we're just gonna look at it. And so, with that being said, the first situation I'm gonna deal with is, it's Tamar, and so I'm in the King James Bible, in Genesis 38. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna deal with Tamar, and then we're gonna do some Q&A after each one to and hopefully if you got the Most High prick your heart, and you have something that you want to talk about and bring it out. Bring it out, because being silent ain't gonna it's not gonna help anything. And like I said, I'm not a villain. I'm just expounding on things that need to be talked about, and then shining a light on things that's been revealed to me, and the things that Most High and dealt with me on. Okay, so I'm in Genesis 38. I had reason why I didn't do the episode, from an uncomfortable conversation, was because of I'm dealing with, like I said before, it took a long time to get to this point, and so many lies has been told. I'm at the point now where I'm dealing with Japhet and Esau, because they came together, and they both of them have a mutual hatred for Israelites. So I'm dealing with the origins. I'm going all the way back with the origins of Japhet, and how him and Esau became one, and then I'm dealing with the history of Israel from back in the day up until now. So it's a lot of material I have to deal with. So I'm just gonna uh, wait a little while longer and make sure that what I do in the presentation is apt. I don't want to just throw it together and put together some rushing it. So that's why I'm doing it. So what I mean right now, I'm dealing with Tamar and Judah, and I'm in Genesis 38. It says, and it came to pass that Judah went down from his brethren, turned into a certain Dunammite whose name was Hira, and Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite whose name was Shula, and he took her and went in on her, and he conceived and bore a son and called his name and she conceived again and bore a son, and she called his name Onan, and she yet again conceived and bore a son and called his name Sheila, and he was at Shazed when she bore him. And Judah took a wife of his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. And Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord slew him. And Judah said unto Onan, go in unto thy brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up a seed to thy brother. And Onan knew that the seed should not be his. And it came to pass, when he went in unto his brother's wife, that he spilled it on the ground, lest that he should give seed to his brother. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord, wherefore he slew him also. Then said Judah to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, remain a widow at thy father's house till Shelah thy son be grown. For he said, lest peradventure he die also. And his brethren did. And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house. And in the process of time, the daughter of Judah's wife, died, and Judah was comforted and went up to his sheep shears in Timnah, he and his friend Hira the Adulamite. And it was told Tamar, saying, behold, thy father-in-law goes up to Timnah to shear his sheep. And she put on her widow's garment, and she put her widow's garment off from her, and covered her with a veil, and wrapped herself, and sat in the open place, which is by the way of Timnah. For she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given unto him to wife. When Judah saw her, he thought her to be a harlot, because she had covered her face. And he turned unto her by the way, and said, go to, I pray thee, let me come in unto thee. For he knew not that she was his daughter-in-law. And she said, what wilt thou give me, that thou mayest come in unto me? And he said, I will send thee a kid from the flock. And she said, wilt thou give me a pledge till thou sendest? And he said, what pledge shall I give thee? And she said, thy signet and thy bracelet and thy staff that is in thy hand. And he gave it to her, and came in unto her, and she conceived by him. And she arose and went away, and laid by her veil from her, and put on the garment of her widowhood. And Judah sent the kid by the hand of his friend the Judammite, and received the pledge from the woman's hand, but he found her not. And he asked the men of that place, saying, where is the harlot that was openly by the wayside? And they said, there was not a harlot in this place. And he returned to Judah and said, I cannot find her. And also the men of the place said that there was no harlot in the place. And Judah said, let her take it off. Let her take it to her, lest we be shamed. Behold, I sent this kid, and thou hast not found her. Okay, so I'm quite sure everybody's familiar with this story because we talked about it before. So what I want to do is right here is just get some feedback on what we just read, and what what are some of the things that's sticking out that I just read when you looking at the Israelite culture and how it pertains to the woman, and is there anything that you see in the story that need to be addressed? So I'm opening it up right now for somebody to make any comments. No comments? Okay. So first thing I see is that at the beginning, so you got a comment? Comment?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. I don't know if there's something wrong with the system, but this has happened in the past where you'll ask for comment and then I'll click the unmute myself and start talking, but you can't hear me.
Okay.
So
That
is
must be a
there,
delay.
okay.
No, no, you have to wait until you get put in the queue. Are you using your cell phone or a computer?
I'm using a computer.
So you gotta wait until you get on the screen. If you're not on the screen, no, we won't be able to hear you.
Okay, so when you say I'm not on the screen, what should I be looking for? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You got to wait till your face show up on the screen.
Okay, because now I see my face on the screen and I
Yeah,
see it.
I can hear you.
Okay, okay.
Right.
Okay, so now I don't know if it was the custom back in those days where after a man's wife had passed away, I don't, and I'm sure he was in mourning. I don't know how long he was in mourning, but I'm sure there's probably some verses to explain that. If not in this book, then in the Apocrypha, perhaps. But was it the norm for them to seek out a prostitute to satisfy whatever urge or need they had?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that uh, you have to think about because it don't, from if you was to just based on a culture and the laws that's in place now, and you would think that that's wrong because he's he's seeking out a harlot.
Okay.
And so that don't add up really, but yeah, it don't really add up. So
So once you read on, we'll see how it backfired on him, right?
right, that's the point I'm making. That's what I said. Each one of these stories, we're gonna go all the way in, and we're gonna deal with the culture and what we know about the culture, and then break it down, disseminate it. So the first thing that stick out to me is that in verse 1 it says it came to pass that Judah it came to pass at that time that Judah went down from his brethren and turned into a certain Adulamite whose name was Hira, and Judah saw there the daughter of a Canaanite. So we already know that they can't have no kind of relation with the Canaanites. So Judah already in error right there. So by seeing this right here, did also to me explain what we just talked about. He already in error, and so he in error by looking for a harlot. That's my observation. So then so we already from the beginning, he's already in error because he's down there dealing with these Canaanite women. Because if you go back to the story of uh, when Jacob and Esau was born, Isaac and Rebekah charged both of them, Esau and Jacob, not to intermarry with the Canaanite women. Because he said in the script says that in the scriptures that it grieved them. Let me read that right quick. I don't want to quote nothing. I'm in Genesis. Let me get it. 32, I think.
Try 28.
Yeah, I just got to it. 28 and 28 and 28 and what? I don't see it.
$27 and 45 and 46.
Yeah, it says, unto thy brother anger turned away from thee, and he forgot that which had been done to him. Then I will send and fetch thee thence. Why should I be bereaved also of you both in one day? And Rebekah said to Isaac, I am weary of my life because of the daughters of Heth. If Jacob take a wife of the daughters of Heth, such as these which are of the daughters of the land, what good shall my life be? So that's not the verse I was looking for, but the verse I was looking for was, he says that it grieved the spirit and the soul of Isaac and Rebekah that Esau had married those two Canaanite women. And so they're not allowed to do that. So Judah, if you go back to 38 and 2, Judah already in error because he down there dealing with these Canaanite women. And so it just snowballed from there, because then he had these children, these unlawful children that he don't supposed to have, these 3 boys, and right out the gate we see that chapter verse 7 says, and Judah's firstborn was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord slew him. So why is he wicked? Because there's a mingled seed. He intermingled with a Canaanite woman that was forbidden. So he wicked. That's a result of intermingling. So the Most High had killed him. But the point I want to make is what goes on is a such thing as he's got a law that if a man is married and he died before he have a kid, a son, then the next son has to go to his wife and bring up a seed for him. So when you look at that, I mean, apply that to today. If a man got a son, or got a brother, and his wife died, and he go into her, according to today, the laws of the land in America, and even us as Israelites, we think that's wicked as hell. And the woman ain't going for it. But we see right here, as far as the laws, it's not even an option. It's not even an option. So let's look at it. It says, Judah took a wife for verse 6. Judah took a wife for his firstborn, whose name was Tamar, right? And so Tamar is the female. And it says, and Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord slew him. And Judah said unto Onan, go in unto thy brother's wife and marry her and raise up seed to thy brother. So he ain't even consulting her. He not even consulting her. It's not even a question. It's all this came down from the Lord. The law, statutes, and judgments that was given at Mount Sinai to Moses. And so it's automatic. So Judah tells Onan to go into his brother's wife. So what you're looking at right here is that it's not what you think, or it's not sexual. None of that ain't got nothing to do with it. From the very beginning, he told Adam, when he brought Eve to Adam, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. So it's not about what Onan think, or what Tamar think, not even what Judah think. It's about his laws that was given by our forefathers, and by the Lord of hosts, commandments that came down from above, which is part of our culture. So it's not even an option. But you're gonna catch hell all over the place if you try to apply this right now. It's gonna be all hell gonna break loose. So 8 says, and Judah said unto his owner, go in unto my brother's wife, and go into thy brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up a seed for thy brother. And Onan knew that the seed should not be his, and it came to pass when he went in unto his brother's wife, that he spilled it on the ground, lest that he should give seed to his brother. So what Onan did is wicked as hell. But if he was a righteous man, the righteous man would have went into his brother's wife, married her, brought him into his house, married her, and brought up a seed for his brother. And then she would have continued to be his wife. Then he didn't have no choice, and she ain't got no choice. So right there, if he already had other wives, that's a wife he can have no choice. He got to take in. He got to bring into himself. So like I said before, it has nothing to do whatsoever with what you think or what I think or what nobody think. Even if King David was standing there, King David can't usurp that, because the man brother died. Right, we're talking righteously. These men here wicked as hell, because they are mingled seed. But if you were dealing with righteous Israelites, he would automatically have to take Tamar, bring her into his household for the rest of her life. She got to come into his household, and he got to, first of all, he got to go into her to get a seed. So it ain't about no, how he look or how she look or how what she think about him or none of that. He have to go into her with the intent to get a seed, and he got to keep going into her till he get a seed. That had nothing to do with nobody feelings, nobody emotions, no nothing. It's a law in Israel, and like I say, all hell will break loose over here in America if you had to do that amongst us as Israelites. All hell will break loose. So you keep going, and it says, and the thing which he did displeased the Lord, wherefore he slew him. See that? So by him, what we thinking over here is righteous is unrighteous. And so the Most High confirmed it because he killed him. He killed the boy for not going into the woman, not marrying her, and not making him bringing her into his household and marrying her and taking up a seed. He killed her. So like I was saying before, we see that there's a lot of things that we got to rethink. And if you're serious about leaving here and going back and dealing with the Most High, you gotta start trying to sit down in front of the mirror or something and look in the mirror and look at yourself and start trying to factor some of the stuff in your brain. So 10, it says, and the thing which he had did displeased the Lord, wherefore he slew him also. Then Judah and Tamar, his daughter-in-law, remained a widow at thy father's house till Shelah, my son, be grown. For he said, lest peradventure he died also, as the brethren did, and Tamar went into wilderness of father's house. So like I said, what we're looking at is the culture part of it. We're looking at the whole thing. So first of all, Tamar, it's laws. The first brother died. The next brother didn't do what was right by taking her into his house to be his wife, to go into her and get a seed. The Most High killed her. Now she got to go back to her father's house. So let's look at this. We're going all the way in. So just look at today and look at today and look at the laws over here and the mindset of the people over here. You think these women over here today gonna go back to their father's house? Or they gonna go to the church house or go somewhere else and try to find them a man? Is they gonna put a hold on their emotions and on their their hormones and all that, and go back to their father's house and wait till this other boy is raised up? Hell no, they ain't gonna do it. So we see right here is all this stuff is ordained from heaven, and it's got to be discussed. And it might be like I say, hard to wrap your mind around it, but we see right here, we looking at the wicked side of it. So flip it and look at the righteous side. She has to go back to her father's house. It's another son, a third son. He about 6, 7 years old. She got to go back to her father's house, pick back up what she was doing at her father's house before came and married her, and she got to wait on the boy Sheila to grow up. And then as soon as he grow up, he coming there for one thing in mind, to pick a seed up. It ain't about how he look, if he cute or he got some muscles or whatever. It's about he got to go into her and get a seed for his brother. The angels, heaven watching. The angels in heaven watching. It ain't about nothing what she got to do with what she think or what, none of it. And so, like I said before, when you start talking about you can't wait to leave, you got to know what you're talking about. And so anyway, he says, in the process of time, the daughter of Shu, Judah's wife, died, and Judah was comforted and went up into his sheep shears to Timah, he and his friends and Adullamite. So, like I was saying before, it's a lot of this stuff was triggered out by Judah, because first of all, he not only that the Most High says don't deal with them, he done befriended this dude. And then not only did he befriend him, he married some of his daughters. Indeed. So this is where all the drama coming in, but we're going to keep going. 13 says, and it was told Tamar, saying, behold, thy father-in-law goeth up to Timnah to shear her sheep. We've been reading over and over again about a virtuous woman. And you're trying to figure out, but nobody under God's son can't see that Tamar a virtuous woman. You say, well, what you talking about? Tamar, these boys doing wicked as hell, but Tamar sitting there waiting on them to do the right thing. The Earl was killed, and she know that Onan got to go into her to get a seed. She waiting on Onan to do what he got to do. Onan, he ain't do it. He pulled out. So then he said, Onan, Most High killed, Lord of Hosts killed Onan, and so then Onan got to go. I mean, now she got to go back to her father's house and wait on Sheila. She went back and done that. And she waiting on him. Then she found out that the boy done got grown, and Judah ain't even brought her to him. Brought her to him. She waiting on. She virtuous. She doing all the things in the most what the Most High said do. So who know that? Who see when they reading over there in Ecclesiastics and all that about a virtuous woman? Who can see that Tamar a virtuous woman? She ain't missed now beat. She's doing everything by the law, by the book that the Most High, that a virtuous woman's supposed to do. But Judah is off. So let's look at it though. So we're gonna keep going. And she put off her widow's garment from off of her and covered her with a veil and wrapped herself and sat in the open place, which is by the way of Timnah. And she saw that Sheila was grown and she was not given unto him for a wife. When Judah saw her, he thought her to be a harlot, because she had covered her face, and he turned into her by the way and said, go to, I pray thee, let me come in unto thee, for he knew not that she was his daughter-in-law. And she said, what wilt thou give me that thou mayest come in unto me? And he said, I will send thee a kid from the flock. And she said, will thou give me a pledge till thou send it? And he said, what pledge shall I give thee? And she said, check this out. Everybody looking over this. And she said, thy signet and thy bracelet and thy staff that is in thy hand. And he gave it unto her and came in unto her, and she conceived and conceived by him. So let's look at it. So that's an Israelite woman. There's laws surrounding Judah that he can't go deal with no Canaanite woman. Well, way back in verse 1, if Judah would have went to Tamar instead of to this Adullamite, this Canaanite woman, if he didn't went to her, look what happened. As soon as he went into her, she conceived and bore a son, and he gave her his signet. What's the signet is? The signet is his house, Judah house. So they went all the way around the clock, and the whole time the Most High wanted Judah and Tamar to be together, because we know from that union right there is how you get the children of Jerusalem. That's how you get the Judeans from this story right here. So let's keep going. It went down to 23, and Judah said, "Let her take it to her." Let's say, and he 21. Then he asked the man of the place, saying, "Where is the harlot that was openly by the wayside?" And they said, "There was not a harlot in this place." So, like I said, Onan, Onan, and Shelah, they wicked as hell because they mingle seeds. The Most High, these Judah is one of the 12 sons of Jacob. He want a righteous seed, so he needs Tamar to get the righteous seed. He killing these boys because he ain't gonna get no righteous seed out of them. So he says, and it came to pass about 3 months after that, it was told Judah, saying, "Tamar, thy daughter-in-law, played the harlot, and also, behold, she is with child." That's what the Most High, the child right here, is what he looking for the whole time. She's with child by whoredom. And Judah said, "Bring her forth and let her be burnt." And when she was brought forth, she sent to her father-in-law, saying, "By the man whose these are, am I with child?" And she said, "Discern, I pray thee, whose these be, the signet, the bracelet, the staff." That's the house. The Most High, the God of houses. This Judah house. From this union right here is how you get the children of Judah. 26. And Judah acknowledged them and said, "She have been more righteous, virtuous." Like I said, she's been more righteous than I, because that I gave her not Shelah, my son, and he knew her again no more. Then 27. And it came to pass in the time of her travail that, behold, twins were in her womb. And it came to pass when she travailed that they put that one put out his hand, and the midwife took the bound upon his hand, a scarlet thread, saying, "This came out first." And it came to pass, as he drew back his hand, that behold, his brother came out. And she said, "How hast thou broken forth? This breach be upon thee." Therefore his name was called Pharez. And afterwards came out his brother, that he had a scarlet thread upon his hand, and his name was called Zahar. And so, like I said before, this was what Most High was looking for all along, because from these boys right here, one of these boys came forth the tribes of the tribe of Judah, multiplied from this union between Tamar and Judah. So, with that being said, any comments? Don't be shy. Anybody got any comments about this?
We got 2 questions in the chat.
Okay, what's up with it? What it say? Okay, so what's the question? Why did Judah marry? Judah married her. Judah was in error, and he married her. That's what we just showed you. He married her the whole time. The Most High wanted the law is that he had to marry an Israelite woman. He didn't do that. That's why I went to show you that what Esau did when he married the 2 Canaanite women. It says it grieved Rebekah and Judah. It grieved Isaac and Rebekah that Esau married Canaanite women, because it's not permitted. So Judah was in error. Most High had to clean it up by causing Tamar to play the harlot. You got another question? Okay, to marry a woman and to go into a woman is all one and the same. That's what it means when you say you go into her. It means to marry her. So let me read that. If you go to let me give you a couple of precepts. So I'm in Genesis. What I'm showing you is to marry a person and to go into them is the same thing. When you go into them, that's when the marriage happens. It ain't over here like it is over here in the West, where you got to go to the courthouse. Well, ain't no courthouse. So when you go into the woman, you marrying her, and then she become part of your household. So I'm gonna give you an example. So this is a story when Abraham sent his male servant to Panorama to get a wife for Isaac, and he found Rebecca, and he on his way back, and Isaac got in the field and he see her. So it says, I'm in verse 62 of 24. And Isaac came from the well of Lahorah, for he dwelt in the south country. And Isaac went out to meditate in the field at the evening tide. He lifted up his eyes and saw, and behold, the camels was coming. And Rebekah lifted up her eyes, and when he saw Isaac, she lit off her camel. For he had said unto the servant, what man is? For she had said unto the servant, what man is this that walketh in the field to meet us? And the servant had said, it is my master. Therefore she took off her veil and covered herself. 66. And the servant told Isaac all the things that he had done. And Isaac, look at this. Isaac brought her into, this is uncut. Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent and took her. So that's explained right there. To go into, took her. So he took Rebekah, and she became his wife, and he loved her, and Isaac was comforted after his mother. So why is he doing that? Why did he do that? He's doing what Adam did. Let's go to Genesis. It says, I'm in verse chapter 2, verse 21. It's the making of the woman. It says, and the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh there instead, and the rib which the Lord God had taken from man made he woman, and he brought her unto the man. So same thing. Remember, the servant, Abraham's servant, brought Rebekah to Isaac, and Isaac took it right there in the tent, consummated the relationship, took her. So 23, and Adam said, this is not bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman because she was taken out of man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother and shall cleave unto his wife. See, wife, cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. So when a man and a woman come together one flesh, what they doing? And then it says, and they were both naked. See, now, and they came together one flesh and they naked. It ain't hard to figure out what's going on. It says, and the man and his wife were not ashamed. So he just consummated the relationship when he brought the woman to him. He consummated. Let's go one more place, and I'm gonna open it up for some comments. So we in chapter 6 with these fallen angels, and I'm in verse 1. It came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth. And keep in mind, they came through the portal at Bethel, and they went up on Mount Hermon. Mount Hermon right next door to the portal, Bethel. And so they went there. They've been looking at these women all along. So they went up on the mountain, and it says, 2, the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they had chose. And the Lord said, my spirit. So they took him, which means same thing what Adam did. And the same thing what Isaac did. He took Rebecca in the tent and took her. And so right here, these angels had been looking at the women they wanted. They went up on Mount Hermon, made the pact. Then they went down and took the ones they wanted, and they became their wives. So the word to be married and to go into is synonymous. And to answer the question about a virtuous woman, is a virtuous woman that obeys the laws of the Most High, and the way that they come down. It's an order they come down to. From the Yahweh to the Lord of hosts, to the angels, to the man, to her. And she obeys those laws, the righteous laws. That's a virtuous woman. And like I said, Tamar was a virtuous woman. Comments?
Okay, so the point of clarity. Judah was wrong in the first place, and it's
Right.
to, recognize that things, even back then, went awry for Judah for whatever reason. But that's okay. We can deal with that. He didn't create himself, but probably disobedient. So to put things in the proper perspective, he was not supposed to have had any dealings with the person he married initially and had those 3 sons by,
Right.
because a Canaanite woman. Okay, so I guess as time went by, the situation somewhat repaired itself. But I do need clarity on something. Did you not say that Tamar was not Israel?
No, she's an Israelite woman.
Okay, so the question was, how come he didn't marry her?
Well, he in error, and so the Most High had to fix it by causing this Israelite woman to play the harlot, and she put a veil on, and he was deceived. That was from the Most High, because when you look at today, Judah, they came from this union of Tamar, and the children of Judah came from this union with Tamar and Judah. So the Most High had to supersede and intervene.
Okay.
And then another thing you have to look at, when you look at the whole picture. Reuben was the firstborn, but look what Reuben done. Reuben ended up sleeping with one of Jacob's. He sleeping with one of Jacob's wives. So that's the reason why Joseph, which is way down the food chain, Joseph ended up getting a double blessing, because those elder boys was constantly messing up. But like I said before, Tamar doing what the laws tell her to do. She ain't very from her place and her role in the culture within Israel. She's doing what she's supposed to do. So but it was Judah was in error, and the Most High had to clean it up. He had to bring an Israelite woman there, unbeknownst to Judah, and he went into her, and she conceived. The Most High, the one, he opened and closed the room. All right, okay. So the Most High had to clean it up. Lord of hosts had to clean it up.
Okay, so that, like you say, the Most High cleaning that up basically took care of Judah's willful destructive behavior, for lack of a better term. Now I have one more question.
So what'd you say? You got another question?
I think. Hold on a minute.
Okay.
Okay. I think. No, it took care of it. And the answer was the Most High basically had to clean up for Judah. Okay, thanks.
Okay. Is it anybody else? Okay. Question? I can hear you. Is there anybody else got a question? Yeah, if you go into one, they become his wife. He took her. She went into it. You got to see him. You got to keep in mind we already then established in Judah established on his own. He wicked as hell. He just went into a Canaanite woman and got 3 sons. So all the drama is coming off from, like I said before, the drama is coming from what Judah doing. You know, it's not a coincidence that Joseph ended up getting a double blessing because Joseph is righteous. He's righteous just like Tamar is righteous. Tamar doing everything by the book. We can see Judah ain't. Right. So when you look at that, you already know when you understand the laws and statutes and judgments, if you go into a woman, then you bound to her. They keep telling us that over and over again. We thinking that you just go into a woman and whatever y'all do and you go your way and you go yours. No, it's some more stuff going on with that. There's a lot going on with that. That's the reason why the Most High is commanding us not to go into let your sons marry their daughters and daughters marry their sons because it's spiritual. You know, and then another way you have to look at that, sin, that's the only sin, fornication and adultery is the only sin that happen on the inside. All the rest of the sins happen out and open, but this happens on the inside of the body. So, like I said before, it's the arrow is coming in from what Judah doing. Tamar going by the book. She going by the laws and the statutes. Right. Any more questions?
Shalom, shalom. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So would you say that the hand of the Lord of hosts was behind the scenes on that Tamar and Judah interaction?
Right. He's like I said, when he made Adam and Eve, even when he made the 6th-day man and the woman, he told them he charged them to be fruitful and multiply.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't say go play hopscotch. He told them go be fruitful and multiply. He gave them everything they needed to multiply. And then we see the same thing with what happened with Tamar and Judah.
Right. So Judah,
As soon as he went into it, you could see.
Right.
Yeah.
So my question earlier, you weren't able to hear me, was I think you answered a little bit. What are the implications of us just lying with men and not understanding that we're consummating stuff all over the place,
Right.
and we're setting some things in motion spiritually that we don't even understand.
Right. And then like I said, what people don't understand is even like with words, you know, a person talking, you don't see the words.
Right.
But the words going into you. So what's the difference in words and angels? Angel can come to you and he can be there. You can't see him. So the words is spiritual. So I'm saying that for the simple reason is the reason why we're gonna deal with that in a minute when we get to Bathsheba. But the women are supposed to be guarded and watched over by the father, by the man of the house and the sons, because if she's supposed to be a virgin when she meet her husband. But if you had sexual encounters with other men, you got that in your head. You got that in your head. That's one of the problem at today. You got all this stuff in your head from people you done dealt with when they ain't the way it's supposed to be. And so that's why somebody can come and coerce you to do something, because you already got it in your head.
Right.
You're never supposed to even experience that. And that's spiritual. It ain't physical, it's spiritual. And so, like he told you about the giants. The giants when they was created, it was a mingled spirit. So when they died, that spirit couldn't ascend to heaven. So it's down there on the earth, and you can't see that. You can't see the spirit, but it's there. That's what a demon is. So you got this stuff in your head that you had sexual encounters with other men. Well, here comes the demon, and he behind the scenes you, but if you're a virgin and you ain't got none of the stuff in your head, he can't curse you like that. So you have to understand that. But that's a topic for another day. But it's all coming to play. The most I'm not telling you not to do these things just for the hell of it. He's telling you for a reason. And so like I was saying before, once you understand that we've been cast out and sent over here among our oppressors, so you come to find out everything we doing and the way we think is all whacked out. You thinking that you got a source of defense for some of the things that you believe, but you don't have no defense, because once you start looking at the scriptures, you see that you ain't got no defense. Like I just showed you with Tamar. He told it's a law. We got David, our Messiah, from Boaz, doing the same thing that we just told Onan to do. You had Naomi or Ruth had lost her husband, and she lost her husband before she had a seed. So Boaz was the kinsman redeemer. Boaz came in and took up he had to bring a seed up for the man that had died. Well, who was the seed? Jesse, David's father. So Ruth or Naomi, whoever it was, they ain't got no say so in the matter. It's a law in Israel. And like I say, she can't go looking at she can't look at Boaz and say, oh, he don't look right, or he is. No, Boaz is kinsman redeemer. He got to go into you to take up a seed. You ain't got no say so in it. Right here, same thing. And so, like I said, Tamar is a virtuous woman. But the average person looking at this story, they can't see that that's the virtuous woman that they're talking about over there, in Ecclesiastes and all these other places. That's the virtuous woman. She keeping the laws. She abide by the culture and that been set up by the Most High, that was brought down from heaven. She ain't got no say so in when the seed has to. If whoever the brother is, the kinsman redeemer that has to come in and take up the seed, she don't have no say so in it. The seed got to be. You got to take up a seed for the man, and so why is that so important? Because if you don't, it's a hole. It's a breach in Israel. It's a breach in Israel if you don't. It's an error. So the Most High ain't going for no errors. So he's like I said, Boaz was a kinsman redeemer. He came and did what he had to do, and that's how we got Jesse. And then from Jesse, Samuel showed up in Bethlehem, Euphrates, and anointed David. So if Boaz and Naomi wouldn't have did what they supposed to do, then we wouldn't have got David. So it ain't about what we thinking. It's about getting in the scriptures and figuring out how it go, and then getting in where you fit in it. Any more questions on the subject? Nah, no. The Canaanites came from a wicked origin, just like Cain's seed came from a wicked origin. So that's why the Most High is telling us not to intermingle with them. Their DNA is being altered. The Canaanites come from fallen angels sleeping with women, and the seed is a contaminated seed because it got this angelic DNA mixed with human DNA. And so if you if an Israelite man marry one of these women, then that DNA is being brought into Israel, and it's vice versa. If a Canaanite man marry an Israelite woman, you bringing that DNA into Israel. So, like I said before, there's a whole lot going on. That's the reason I want to go in to all these stories, and you got a question, don't hold back on the question. So let's look at Uriah and Bathsheba. Uriah was a Canaanite. He was a mighty man. All right. Did he have a seed? Did Bathsheba have a seed for him? No. Most High got killed for that. Even though David was wrong, but he got killed before that. She ended up with David. But we're gonna get into that. So we see the Most High all over the place, working this jelly all over the place because of people in error, men and the women. But the Most High still coming and bringing everything down like it's supposed to be. So she married this Canaanite. She married this Canaanite guy, Uriah. He ended up being killed, and the seed that preceded David on his throne was Solomon. He came from that same woman, Bathsheba. And so like I said before, why? Because these women was virtuous. They was doing what they were supposed to do, according to the Most High law, statutes, and his judgments and the ordinances. Okay? Anybody else got anything on that? So what I'm gonna do is go to I'm in Apocrypha now, and I'm gonna read Susanna. I don't know if you know about Susanna, but it's one of the books in the Apocrypha. They was taking the King James 1611 Bible, 1611 Bible had the Apocrypha books in it. Then later on, those books were taken away because they started bringing up a bunch of questions and revealing things that the Catholic Church didn't want to be revealed, so they just took the books out to pretty much quell everything. So this story right here is I'm gonna read it. Like I said before, it's amazing how the Most High work. So it says the story of Daniel. So Susanna tied to Daniel. And I keep telling you over and over again, it's about 10, 15 books out of Daniel missing. So it says the story of Daniel naturally attracted embellishments, and the story of Susanna is the first of 3 editions found in the Greek, but not in the Hebrew Bible. It is placed at the beginning of the book of Daniel, and he's still in his youth in the story. The acclamations of a virtuous lady. See that? See how the Most High work? The acclamations of a virtuous lady's innocence, its dramatic vindication, and the turning of the tables on a culmination to be accepted on its own merits as an admirably told and edifying story. But it may have been put to use to reinforce the juristic principles that the 2 witnesses which Scripture requires for condemnation must be examined separately. The date of Susanna is probably early 1st century. The text commonly used for translation is that of Theodotion, which is somewhat farther than the Septuagint text. So we're gonna pick it up and start reading. It's only it's only a few chapters. There once lived in Babylon a man named Jehoiakim. He married a wife named Susanna, the daughter of Hilkiah. So in case you don't know, this Hilkiah is the Hilkiah, the high priest. And we went back and we read how that the high priests and Levites, those women are different than the other women in Israel because they eating the sacrifice, the fat of the sacrifice. I mean the shoulder and the leg quarter, same way the Levite eating. And not only that, they eating amongst being raised by these Levites. That's indirect interaction with these angels. And so when you understand that, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but Bathsheba's daddy was a Levite. And these kings, when you go back and look at it, these kings married these Levite women. And ain't a coincidence. So it says, Joachim was very rich, and he had a fine garden adjoining his house. And the Jews used to come to visit him because he was a much distinguished of them all. That year, 2 of the elders of the people were appointed judges, men of the kind of whom the Lord said, lawlessness came forth from Babylon, from elders who were judges who were supposed to guide the people. These men came constantly to Jehoiakim's house, and all who had cases to be decided came to them there. And it happened that when the people left at midday, Susanna would go into her husband's garden and walk about, so that 2 elders saw her every day as she went in and walked about, and they conceived a passion for her. So their thoughts were perverted, and they turned away their eyes so as not to look up to heaven or consider justice and giving judgment. They were both smitten with her, but they could not disclose their pain to each other, for they were ashamed to reveal their passion, for they desired to have relations with her. And they go, hey, the fuck, man? Excuse me. Hold up 1 minute. Yeah, hold up 1 minute. Yeah, y'all gotta excuse me. Somebody came in my door and scared the living daylights out of me. Excuse my expression. But let's get back to the class. Let me see where I was at. I'm in Susanna, verse 13. And they said one to another, let us go home, for it is dinner time. So they went out of the garden and parted from one another. They then turned back and encountered one another. And when they cross-questioned one another as to explanation, they admitted their passion. Then they agreed together upon a time when they would be able to find her alone. Now it happened as they were watching for the opportunity that she went in one day as usual with no one but her two maids, and wished to bathe in the garden, as they were very hot, as there were no one there except the 2 elders who had hidden themselves and were watching her. And she said to her maids, bring me olive oil and soap, and close the doors of the garden so that I can bathe. And they did as she told them, and shut the doors of the garden, and went out at the side door to bring what they had been ordering to bring. And they did not see the elders, and they were hidden. And when the maids went out, the 2 elders got up and ran for her and said, here, the doors of the garden are shut, and no one can see us, and we are in love with you. So give your consent and lie with us. For if you do not, we will testify against you that there was a young man with you, and that was why you dismissed your maids. And Susanna groaned and said, I am in a tight place. For if I do this, it means my death. But I refuse. I cannot escape your hands. I had rather not do it and fall into your hands than commit sin in the Lord's sight. Then Susanna gave a loud scream, and the 2 elders shouted against her. And one of the men ran and opened the garden doors. And when the people in the house heard the shouting in the garden, they rushed through the side doors to see what had happened to her. And when the elders told their story, her slaves were deeply humiliated, for such a thing had never been said about Susanna. The next day, when the people came together to her husband, Joachim, the 2 elders came, full of their wicked design to put Susanna to death. And they said, before the people. Send for Susanna, the daughter of Hilkiah, Jehoiakim's wife. And they did so. And she came, and with her parents and her children and all her relatives. Now Susanna was accustomed to luxury and was very beautiful. And the lawbreakers ordered her to be unveiled, for she was wearing a veil. So, like I said before, that's part of the laws and customs, that they cover their face up, because, like I was saying earlier, all the Israelite women, if you don't intermingle, then they all coming from Eve. They all coming from Sarah. All these women was beautiful. So if they don't intermingle, then it ain't like the Israelite man gonna miss. He can't miss, because all of them is of the same countenance. That's if they do the right thing. So she doing what she's supposed to do, just like we saw Abigail and Bathsheba and what Tamar was doing. So she got herself covered up, and she don't supposed to be uncovered. So these people right here says, and the people with her and all who saw her wept, go up. And the lawbreakers ordered her to be unveiled, for she was wearing a veil, so that they might have their fill of her beauty. And the people with her and all who saw her wept. And the two elders stood up in the midst of the people and laid their hands on her head, and she wept and looked up to heaven, for her trusted in the Lord. And the elders said, so like I said before, I got to shine a light on this. So I said, when Daniel prayed, then he said, the angel showed up. We know the order. So it's Yahweh, the Lord of hosts, these angels, man, then woman. And like I said, in that order, if the man is the woman's Lord, then the angels is the man's Lord, and then the Yahweh, Michael, Lord of hosts, is their Lord, and then Yahweh is Michael's Lord. And so it's in that order. So if you make a petition in the temple or anywhere, then you expecting your Lord to show up. Not if Daniel praying, he expecting an angel to show up. If the woman praying, she's expecting a man to show up. So let's look at it. It says, and the two elders stood up in the midst of the people and laid their hands on her head, and she wept and looked up to heaven, for her heart trusted in the Lord. And her elders said, we were walking by ourselves in the garden. This woman came in with two maids, shut the doors of the garden, and dismissed her maids. And the young man who had been hidden came to her and lay down with her. And we were in the corner of the garden. And when we saw this wicked action, we ran up to them and thought we saw them together. We could not hold him, because he was stronger than we. And he opened the door and rushed out. But we laid hold of this woman and asked her who the young man was, and she would not tell us. This is our testimony. Then the assembly believed them, as they were elders of the people of judges, and they condemned her to death. But Susanna, look at this, Susanna uttered a loud cry and said, Eternal God, who know what is hidden, who know all things before they happen, you know that what they have testified against me is false. And here I am to die, when I have done none of the things they have so wickedly charged me with. And the Lord heard her cry, right? And she was being led away, put to death, right? God stirred up the Holy Spirit of the young man named Daniel, and he loudly shouted, I am clear of the blood of this woman. And all the people turned to him and said, what does this mean that you have said? And he took his stand in the midst of them and said, are you such fools, you Israelites, that you have condemned a daughter of Israel without examination or ascertaining of the truth? Go back to the place of the trial, for these men have borne false witness against her. So all the people hurried back, and the elder said to him, come, sit among us and inform us, for God has given you the right to do so. Okay, so like I said before, the moral of the story is that, like I said, it's an order in place. And once you see the order, and you start looking for it. And like I said, if that's not the case, then you're not going to see what I'm saying. So she cried with a loud voice because of her predicament, and the Most High stirred up this man, Daniel. And so, like I said before, you know that this story is true because it's a part of Daniel's life that they don't tell you about. This when Daniel was young. This before the Chaldeans came. He was young and he was taken to Babylon. But before that, he was this part of the story of Daniel before, like I said, before he went to Babylon. And it's another story in there, not to be cyborg, Baal and the dragon. Daniel was like a wise man, a young wise man, like a lawyer. And the Most High used Daniel to save Susanna's life, a virtuous woman that she hadn't done nothing. All she was doing was doing like her fourth mothers had done, being virtuous and beautiful. And then these wicked men came want to take advantage of that. And so she cried out, and the Most High used Daniel to save her life. So, like I said, if you want to get the rest of that story, you can go to the Apocrypha and look for Susanna, the story of Susanna. So, any comments on that before we move forward?
Shalom, shalom.
Okay.
It's when you were reading that story, I don't know if there's any connection, but I thought about the woman that was caught in adultery. I
Right.
thought the New Testament, there may have been some plagiarism from that story. On the other hand, what an awesome story! What an encouraging story.
Right.
That even though it seemed like she was cornered,
Right.
she had enough respect for the Lord of hosts that she says she is not going to displease the Lord of hosts.
Right. And not only that, she was like I said, she would know she was raised her father. She's out of the tribe of Levi.
Mm-hmm.
So all her life she been eating the sacrifice just like the Levites been eating.
Right.
So that's yeah. And you're gonna find out that Bathsheba's father was a Levite too.
Mm-hmm. And then another thing, Leonard, in the nation of Israel, they tell you that when you're going to accuse someone, that you need to bring 2 or more witnesses.
Right.
So the elders thought they was being clever.
Right.
But
exactly.
they was not more clever than the Spirit of the Lord that fell on Daniel.
Right.
And caused him to speak up for her. And like you say, help me if I got this right. If a woman cries out, she's looking for a man to show up.
Right.
Hebrew Israelite man, righteous
her
man.
Lord.
Her Lord. If Hebrew Israelite man cried, he looking for an angel to show up.
Right. His Lord.
His Lord.
It's an order in place, yeah.
And if the Lord of hosts have some questions, he gonna ask Yahweh.
Right. And so like I said before, the Most High, the Spirit of the Most High, and him being who he is, they didn't evidently they didn't know that when they started tapping with the book, because now when you apply that, like I said, lo and behold, the order gonna fall right in place.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have the Spirit of the Most High on them to know to alter that too. They didn't know that they need to do that. But now we in these last days, Most High bring forth His Spirit, and you're gonna see it. If you apply that, it's gonna pop up every time. You can't get around it.
And one last thing, Susanna, it doesn't say where she tried to confront those 2 men. She cried out to the eternal God and say, "Eternal God who knows all things."
Right.
So a lot of times, a lot of times we find ourselves trying to confront our accusers, and we don't need to confront our accusers. We just need to stand firm and cry out to the Lord of hosts, who's going to function within that order that you just gave us.
Right. Exactly.
Hallelujah.
Right. And it's beyond, like I said, it's not about what had happened to us over here in the West. Is that we have, it's, we think that it's so many things that we don't have no say so in, that we think we got say so in. We don't have no say so in it. Because like I said before, when Abraham, we know that the Most High, every time he took a step, Most High was blessing him. But when
Yes.
in Genesis 18, when the angel came, his Lord, he got down on the ground with his face to the ground in the dirt. Because that's what he got to do. It ain't got nothing to do with what he think or whatever. So when we see the same thing with Abigail and Bathsheba and them, same
Yes.
thing. You got that.
Yes.
It's not what you can't. You don't have time to sit around and think about what you can do and what you need to do or don't do. It's precepts and it's laws in place that it's what you got to do.
Yes.
They got nothing to do. Like I said, if I got a brother and he got a wife and my brother died without no seed, I got to take a seed up. I can jump off the top of the house on my head. When I get up off my head, I still got to go in there and take that seed up. And they ain't got nothing to do with what I think. And that's it. That's all I'm laying out. I'm laying out the Hebrew Israelite culture and what we getting ready to go into when we get delivered from here. And you got to ask yourself, when they left Egypt, the same thing we talk about now is what they ended up in the midst of when they got to the land of Canaan. They had these same laws and precepts in place. They ain't changed.
Right.
So that's all that's being conveyed, nothing else. They ain't trying to hoop with nobody or take nobody down Prim Road, none of that. I'm just laying out the way the Most High got it set up and the way that you're going, when you leave here, that's what you're gonna deal with. That's what you're gonna have to face.
Right.
Simple
I also thought about, Leonard, I thought about the phrase, there's nothing new under the sun.
Right.
These people that were bringing these accusations against this virtuous woman were elders.
Right. Exactly.
And so who else can you turn to but the Lord, but your Lord, against elders who have come as two witnesses against you? Oh, hallelujah. I'm encouraged tonight.
Right. Okay, so any more questions on that particular topic? And like I said, y'all excuse me for somebody busting my door. I ain't know who it was AZL or who it was. It spooked me. Anyway, I'm good. Yeah. So I'm dealing with Bathsheba right now, and this I don't know if anybody know about this, but this is the book of Nathan. You know, like I said, Nathan lived during the time of David, and so we know that he had a book, but they had to take that book out because Nathan is telling you exactly how everything goes, because he existed during the time when David existed, and we know that these wicked Gentiles and these Romans and these Greeks then hooked with the scriptures and gave us a altered interpretation of our lifestyle and our culture. So I'm in the book of Nathan. I'm gonna read some stuff about Bathsheba that you don't know. Like I said, she was virtuous too, just like Eve was virtuous, and Rebecca, and Tamar, and Susanna, like these women behind me. Y'all want to check them out? Okay. Yeah. So it says. Okay, I'm picking it up right here. It says, let's talk about Bathsheba. It says, and it came to pass in the morning. Oh no, wrong place. It says, now behold, the daughter of Elam was fair and well favored, and of all those that see after the flesh and judge by sight, not many men had not a desire in their heart to wed her. So I want to shine light on something right quick, because like I said before, we know Isaac, when he went down to Gerar, he had Rebecca looked so good, he had to tell the people around there that was his sister, because she looked so good they were going to kill him to get her. And we know the same thing with Sarah. And so you say, what you talking about? Well, the Most High told Abraham told his male servant to go to the same place that Sarah was from, to go to Sarah's brother's house to give Rebekah, because he knows she was going to look just like Sarah. And then we didn't witness how Susanna looked and how Tamar, how they all look. Like I said, what we overlooking is their DNA. You know, nobody don't want to deal with the DNA. The Most High dealing with DNA. That's why he's saying don't mingle. Yeah, so he says, and we see right here coming out the gate that Bathsheba look good, right? And so it says, therefore Elam guarded his daughter well and hastened not to give her to any man, for many men lusted after his daughter. But Elam prayed to the Lord for a covering of choice concerning his daughter. And Elam said, O Lord, I beseech thee, let not your daughter, in which you have blessed me to bring up in your ways, fall prey to these hungry, wicked devourers of flesh, for all men seek to have her. See that? So that's we see that they coming in behind these Israelite women all over the place. So anyway, another thing I want to shine light on is that we as Israelites, we got a serious problem with that these our enemies, the Gentiles, and twisted up our mind. It says, I told you that yesterday, let me see, Saturday, that David had the plans to build a temple. But the Most High told him, you ain't building the temple because you shedded blood. You're not building a temple. Solomon, your son, gonna build a temple. And then furthermore, he my son. So I don't know how you perceive that when I said that, but he told him it's my son. When David ain't understanding the order, David submitted. He ain't trying to backdoor nothing. He already know who the Lord of hosts is, and so he fell right in line. But the Most High told him, he told Solomon. He told Solomon to get ready and get prepared and don't turn to the left or the right, because the Most High ain't gonna be playing with you. So we see right here the same thing. Verse 3, Elam said, O Lord, I beseech thee, let not your daughter. See that? He ain't though. He ain't caught up in his mind because he got a beautiful daughter. He ain't claimed the daughter for him. You know, he understands. He says, and Elohim said, O Lord, I beseech thee, let not your daughter, in which you have blessed me, to bring up in your ways. Who talk like that? That's thinking like a Hebrew. So he says, fall prey to these hungry, wicked devourers of flesh, for all men seek to have her. Now look at this. 4, I pray thee, O Lord, that the man, look at this. I told you when you start dealing with a woman, it's a man gonna show up, not no angel. So he says, I pray thee, O Lord, that the man you will send to marry our daughter. See, he ain't slipping with it. Our daughter will not debase her to bring her down, but will exalt her even unto the stature of a queen. See, this part of the prayer. Well, like we said, when Solomon prayed, Solomon ain't prayed for no wealth. Solomon prayed for wisdom. But when the Most High came, he cleaned the house. He gave him everything. So he precise. So Elam's told him right here, I want her to be a queen. Well, how she gonna be a queen? She gotta marry a king. Come on now. So, moreover, a queen of the then he says he wanted to be a queen, but not any old queen. Moreover, a queen of the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel. So that tells me one thing. He praying for David. See? So, but they want to put a black dot on David's head for the events that went down. So, we keep going. And as Elam was praying praying there, walked up to him. For as Elam was praying there, he walked up to him from afar and Hittite, and said to Elam, most people pray to the Lord quietly, but thou shoutest aloud. For I heard thee praying all the way across the river. Now, behold, surely the Lord thy God have heard thy prayer also, and I reckon that the Lord have given thee thy request, that it might silence thee. For in praying that loud, thou shalt shake the heavens, if thou doest not lose thy voice at first. So we see that Elam had it on his mind. He was seriously concerned, and he had zeal and fervor for the Most High, and for his daughter. He wanted her to, he didn't want her to, because of her countenance and everything. She's a virtuous woman. He had raised her right. He don't want anybody dealing with her. So he crying aloud to the Most High about it, right? So it says 7. If it be pleasing in your sight, I will take your daughter's hand in marriage, and I myself shall honor the loud prayers of her father, and I will treat her like the queen of Israel. Now Elam was pleased with the words of the Hittite, and Elam asked him of his name, and Hittite said, it is Uriah. And Elam said, my daughter I shall give you, and her name is Bathsheba, right? So now we're going to go on down to it says, okay, so this is after, I'm picking up with after we saw what Edom, he's a Levite, prayed for. Matter of fact, he's a high priest, and he prayed for his daughter to marry a king out of Israel, not any old king, but a king out of Israel. Says, and then we know what happened. David saw her on the roof, and then he ended up going into it. So what Uriah, which is he's not an Israelite, he's a Canaanite. He didn't tell Edom that he had been listening to his prayers. He came up at the end, but he had been coming there all listening to his prayers because he was cold trailing Edom on behalf of Bathsheba. So he's being deceitful. So anyway, so after David and Bathsheba did all that they did, it said David perceived from the word of God that the child, she was pregnant with a kid for David, and David perceived from the word of the Lord that the child would die on the Sabbath day. Howbeit in this David found himself comforted. Now, at the death of the child, David was grieved that he had sinned against the Lord. And although Uriah was dead, even so, Uriah lives on. And David had therefore determined not to come unto Bathsheba. For after the death of the child of David, David reckoned the beauty of Bathsheba to be the sin in itself. And he blamed the beauty of Bathsheba for his own transgressions. Now, Bathsheba mourned much for the innocent child who fell prey to the abomination of fornication and the wages thereof. Nevertheless, David shunned her as if she was a plague, and the king would not allow her to come in and to be with him or even see him, for David was fervent in praying with himself, and the king would not jot down his prayers and recite them as David would read the prayers he had written. The Spirit of God would then inspire David to write more, until soon the hand of David would be worthless and useless, but the words written would be useful and worth much. Now David truly had loved Bathsheba. Nevertheless, because of the death of the child, the heart of David was as hard toward her as a stone. But the Lord knew that this was because David feared to be with Bathsheba less more than the children, that the children should die. So we see again, the Most High got to come in and clean up what these men doing. And David had sworn to himself not to be with Bathsheba, but this thing was not easy for him. And King David endeavored to use the company of other women to keep him from going to Bathsheba. So he took to himself one wife after another, but his desire for Bathsheba grew stronger. Now David had come to find that the only thing that was able to keep him from going to Bathsheba, his true love, was remembering the worst day of his life, thinking about the day that the Lord sent Nathan the prophet to say the child shall die. Okay, so let me keep going. It says, for the day the child died was not as bad in measure as the day David received the terrible news from the prophet, because that day the child had died, the Lord had already comforted David concerning it. But the day Nathan came to David, Nathan declared unto the king of some wicked, evil thing a man did, and David was very upset in hearing the evil report of the wicked man. And David said, I will go and kill this wicked man myself. And David reached and took hold of his bow and his quiver of 7 arrows to go and kill the man. So this big because David got 7 wives. So it says, and David said unto Nathan, shew me where this man is, and I will show me where this man is. I will show thee the judgment that is reserved for evildoers, and I will show this man the wrath of God. And Nathan said unto David, thou art the man. And the last words of Nathan to David that day were that the child that is born unto thee shall surely die. And when David heard these words of the Lord, that day he shivered exceedingly, for a great trembling had fallen upon him, insomuch that even his quiver did quiver. And when David was down shaking, he placed his bow down in his corner. Then he was setting down the quiver. He noticed the appearance of an arrow missing. So David dumped the arrows out and counted them, and behold, the arrows were all there, but one was broken. David then understood that the broken arrow signified the death of the child, and he said, as arrows are in the hands of a mighty man, so are the children of the youth, and happy is the man that have his quiver full of them. So I read all that to go to King James to 2 Kings, and I want to show you something. So David and Bathsheba had been through hell. Their life. Like I said, they was madly in love, but the thing that happened was Bathsheba, Uriah came in there. He overheard. They don't tell you all this, but he overheard Bathsheba's father praying for her, and he knew just what to say to entice him to lure him in to let him marry. So he ain't just an innocent person, and David ain't either. But anyway, so we're gonna go to 1 Kings. I'm gonna read a little bit, and then I'm gonna open it up for a question. So after all this, we see all the drama that Bathsheba and David went through. So, and I'm telling you that Bathsheba is a virtuous woman, just like the other ones we read. Now King David was old and stricken in years, and they covered him with clothes, but he got no heat. Wherefore his servant said unto him, let there be sought for my lord the king a young virgin, and let her stand before the king, and let her cherish him, and let her lie in thy bosom, that my lord the king may get heat. So they sought for a fair damsel throughout all the coast of Israel, and found, I don't know if I'm saying his name right or not, Abishai, a Shulamite, and brought her to the king. And the damsel was very fair and cherished the king and ministered to him, but the king knew it not. So, like I said before, we see all over the place how all these Israelite women look. That's a given. The young ones, the old ones, we see how they look. And we know the story of Bathsheba and David, all that they've been through. So then, Adoniah, the son of Hagar, exalted himself, saying, I will be king and prepare him chariots and horsemen and 50 men to run before him. And his father had displeased him at any time in saying, why hast thou done so? And he also was a goodly man, and his mother bore him after Absalom. And he conferred with Joab, the son of Zahar, with Abiathar the priest, and they following Abijah helped him. But Zodek the priest, and Benaiah the son of Jonadiah, and Nathan the prophet, and Shimei, and Ray the mighty men which belonged to David, were not with Adonijah. And Adonijah slew sheep and oxen and fat cattle by the stones of Zola, which is in the Ingrail, and called all his brethren and the king's sons and all the men of Judah the king's servants. So what's going on is David's brother, Absalom brother, is exalting himself. David is old. He's trying to exalt himself and make his own self the king. But we already know that in chapter 7 of 2 Samuel, Lord host already told David, that Solomon was going to take up going to precede him after he died. And so, and David also then promised Bathsheba that Solomon is going to be on the throne. So what's going on, Bathsheba needs to go in there to the king to talk to him. But we see right there in verse 1, he got a young girl laying up in his lap, all up under him to comfort him. And so, like I said, let's look at that. Look at the women today. and put them in that same situation. So it says, now, come, let me pray thee, give thee counsel. So this guy, no, 11, wherefore Nathan, this Nathan, spake unto Bathsheba, the mother of Solomon. Solomon is the one to succeed David, said, hast thou not heard that Abijah, the son of Haggarath, doeth slain, and David, our Lord, knoweth it not? Now therefore come, let me, I pray thee, give thee counsel, that thou mayest save thine own life and the life of thy son Solomon. So if this boy proceed to be the king and David pass away or die, they're gonna kill him. They're gonna kill Solomon and Bathsheba. So like I said before, just like Esther, just like we just saw with Susanna, they in a bind. So let's look what happened. Now therefore come, let us, I pray thee, give thee counsel, that thou mayest save thine own life and the life of thy son Solomon. Go and get thee in unto the king David, and say unto him, did thou not, my lord, O king, swear unto thine handmaiden, saying, as surely Solomon thy son shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon my throne. Why then doeth Abijah reign? Behold, while he yet talking there with the king, I also will come in after thee and condemn thy words. And Bathsheba went in unto the king in the chamber, and the king was very old, and Abishai. See this? So all we just read that her and Solomon have been through, her and David have been through, now they old. And she come in there, and he in there with a young girl wrapped up with a young girl getting warm, and says, and Abishai the Shunammite ministered unto the king. And look at this. And Bathsheba bowed and did askance unto the king. And the king said, what doest thou? What wouldest thou? And she said unto him, my lord, thou swearest by the Lord thy God unto thy handmaiden, saying, surely Solomon thy son shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon my throne. And now behold, Abijah reigneth, and now my lord the king, thou knowest it not. And he hath slain oxen and fat cattle and sheep in abundance, and I've called all the sons of the king, Abijah the priest, Joab the captain of the host, but Solomon thy servant have he not called. And thou, my lord, O king, the eyes of all Israel are upon thee, that thou shouldst tell them who shall sit on the throne of my lord the king after me. Otherwise it shall come to pass, when my lord the king shall sleep with his fathers, and I and my son shall be counted offenders. And lo, while she yet talked, look at this, and lo, while she yet talked with the king, Nathan the prophet came in. We see over there when Susanna got in the jam, the Most High raised David up. Now we see Bathsheba in the jam, Nathan show up. Wasn't Raphael or Gabriel or Uriel, it was Nathan and Daniel, Israelites. So, like I was saying before, we open it up for some questions or comments. No questions or comments? Okay, so I'm gonna deal with this. I talked about Esther before, but I want to go into Esther get a little more in depth in Esther because it's a perfect example of what the understanding of the Most High got for. Let me see what I was reading from there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna deal with Rebecca right quick. Until the last one. I don't have my book. Uh, what happened with we go? I'm going to Rebecca was in a dilemma. You got a question?
Shalom.
Okay.
What I was going to ask you was, what is the role of the prophet to the king?
Well, they both working simultaneously. The king, the prophet, the prophet is getting his word from the Most High, the prophet is like just like they when they set up this the United States over here, the system they have in the place is that they got checks and balances. So the prophet or the seer is getting all this information. He's directly from the Lord of hosts, and he is keeping the king in check.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, king he can't get beside himself because of if the prophet is dealing with the Most High, he gonna come tell him, "Just say the Lord." And the king understand who Lord of hosts is. He got to respect what he tell him, because he can get him. He can get he can get zapped if you don't adhere to it, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
The king, the Most High, the Lord of hosts dealing with the king too, and the high priest can be wicked as hell. So it's like a system of checks and balances.
Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And then but I noticed that Bathsheba, when she was kind of troubled about what Absalom was doing, she didn't go to the Lord of hosts. She went to David. She complained, or she brought her concern to David,
Right.
which is the order.
Right. So yeah. So while we on that, I want to explain something because you got so many people that misconstrued this. I'm in Psalms 110 right quick. So because you need to hear this.
Psalm 110.
Right. Verse 1. You there?
Mm-hmm.
The Lord said unto my Lord, right? Sit thou at my right hand until I make thy enemies thy footstools. So what we have in Israel at the top of the food chain, we got the Lord of hosts, and then we got David, right?
Mm-hmm.
So David is a man after his. The Lord of hosts said David is a man after his own heart. David got a sword, and Michael got a sword.
Mm.
So what you reading right there is, everybody got a bad interpretation of it, but it's a Levite that's talking, and he's saying that the Lord told his Lord. Well, who his Lord is? David.
David. Mm-hmm.
And so you say, what you talking about? Well, let's go back over here where I was at in 1 Kings right quick. 1 Kings chapter 1 says, let me see. Okay, 24. Okay, in 1 Kings 1, chapter 1, verse 24. And Nathan said, my Lord, O King. See that?
Mm-hmm.
So David is Nathan's Lord.
Yes.
Says, my Lord, O King, as thou said, Abijah shall reign after me, and he shall sit on my throne. Then you go to 27. And this is the thing done by my Lord, the King. And thou hast not showed it unto thy servant, who shall sit on the throne of the Lord, of my Lord, the King. So David is the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
So what the way to divide that is the person that's talking said, the Lord of hosts told my Lord, the King.
Yeah.
Go over there somewhere and sit down. I'm gonna handle this.
Mm-hmm.
That's how
So
you got to read it. They want to try to stick JC up in there, but when you got the proper understanding of this, there it is. But I just want to shine light on that. So
Okay, and when we see, last thing, when we see the Lord of hosts coming and correcting his son David or his son Judah, it's just like a natural father would do when your son get in trouble or whatever,
right,
right?
all of them his sons.
Right.
You got a father, you got a grandfather, a father, and a son. All of them his sons.
Yes.
And it's how you gotta look at it. That's thinking like a Hebrew.
Right.
So let me get this
Okay.
right here, Rebecca. Okay, I'm in Genesis 25, starting at verse 19. It says, "And these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begot Isaac. Isaac was 40 years old when he had Rebekah, his wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian, of Panaram, the sister of Laban, the Syrian. And Isaac entreated the Lord." See that? So she got an issue, but look what it says. Isaac entreated. She barren. She knows she barren because all of it says, and Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren, and the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived, and the children. So we already see right here, she got a dilemma, but Isaac the one got to do the due diligence for her. So you keep reading 22, and the children struggled together within her, and she said, "If it be so, why am I thus?" Now see that? So now she got another dilemma, where if Isaac entreated the Lord for her because he was barren, then the other dilemma, he got to entreat the Lord for that too. It ain't all of a sudden the order gonna change. So 22 said, and the children struggled together within her, and she said, "If it be so, why am I thus?" And she went to inquire the Lord. So what they want you to think, based off the New Testament, that she went and inquired the Lord on her own. And then so it said, and the Lord said, see this? And the Lord said, now what I'm gonna show you, this is a big fat ass lie. I'm gonna show you that. So he says, and the Lord said unto her, "Two nations are in thy womb, two manner of children, or two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the young." So now I'm gonna go to Jasher, and I'm gonna read what really happened. So it says, I'm picking up in Jasher 26. It says in 8, and the Lord heard the prayer of Isaac, son of Abraham, and the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. So I'm picking up right what we just read over there in King James. It says, and in about 7 months after the children struggled together within her, and it pained her greatly that she was wearied on account of them, and she said to all the women who were who were then in the land, "Did such a thing happen to you as it has happened to me?" And they said unto her, "No." And she said unto them, "Why am I alone in this among all the women that were upon the earth?" And now look at this. And she went to the land of Moriah to seek the Lord on account of this. And she went to Shem and Eber. See, they don't want you to know that. She went to Shem and Eber, his son, to make inquiries of them in this matter, and that they should seek the Lord in this thing respecting her. So she ain't go and pray to no Lord. That's a lie from the pits of hell. And you riding off of that, then you in there. So he says 11. And I told you that Abraham, the one told her what to do. Because what she did when Jacob received the blessing was what Abraham told her right here. It's no different than when the Pharaoh had a dream. Well, the only Israelite that was there was Joseph. And Joseph interpreted. He said he went out, dealt with the Lord told him what he had to do. He went back and told the Pharaoh what to do. Same thing right here. Abraham told her all that the Most High gave him. And so that's why she knew what to do when it was time for Jacob to receive the blessing. She had got it from Shem, Eber, and especially Abraham. I'm going to read that right here. And they all, look at this. And she also, look at this, they ain't stupid. She also asked Abraham to seek and inquire of the Lord about all that had befallen her. See, so these, like I said, these Gentiles got a problem with they not only they idol worshipers, but they lift the woman up because they don't know the order. They see a woman give birth to a man, they think the woman got more power than the man, but not knowing that she'll help me. The Israelites understood that. They had angels telling them that every 3-4 hours. The Israelites already knew that. So it says 12, and they all inquired of the Lord concerning this matter. So all three of them, men, inquiring to their Lord for the woman. The handmaid says, and they brought her word from the Lord to her. See, these wicked ass Gentiles, they didn't flip that all around in the New Testament. I mean, in the King James. So he says, 2 children are in thy womb, 2 nations shall rise from them, and one nation shall be stronger than the other, and the greater shall serve the younger. And when her days to be delivered were completed, she knelt down, and behold, there were twins in her womb, as the Lord had spoken to her. So we see now how the Lord had spoken to her through Shem, Eber, and Abraham. So I'm gonna read that one more time. I'm gonna open up for questions. So you just lie. And you gotta, like I said, it's hard to believe, but you gotta get it out your mind. So he says over here, 21, Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren, and the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. And the children struggled together within her, and she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire the Lord. So you sitting there, everybody reading this, think she got a right to go talk to the Lord. And we're gonna keep going. And the Lord said to her, see that? You gotta get that out your mind. Wipe it out. See that? And the Lord said unto her 2 nations. He ain't said nothing of it. It was Abraham, Shem, and Eber that did it. So that's a lie. Fabrication. So I'm gonna open it up for questions and then we'll close up. Okay.
Shalom, shalom. Leonard, who is Shem and Eber to Rebecca and Isaac?
Well, Shem and Eber is the forefathers. Shem, Eber is one of the direct descendants from Noah. Way back here, go back here too.
So she went.
They still alive. I'm gonna show you. Let me show you who they are. Go to Genesis 10, verse 21.
Okay. 10, 21.
Right. It's all the way back to right after the flood, after they got out the boat.
Okay.
Unto Shem also the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japhet the elder, even unto him children were born, and said children were born, and the children of Shem, Elam, Asher, Araphat, Lud, Aram, and the children of Aram, Uz, Hud, Heather, and Mash, and Araphat begot Shelah, and Shelah begot Eber.
Mm-hmm.
So these men still alive. They don't want you to know that, but they still alive. So these are the elders.
Okay. Okay.
So she went to them to inquire the Lord because that's the order. But they want you to think because like I said, you at the tomb when Jesus was resurrected, you got 4 Marys at the tomb tripping all over each other. The 12 disciples up in the upper room somewhere drinking coffee. Mm-hmm. They've been with him 3 years, but they don't know where the hell where to be at. But the women know where to be at.
Right.
That's these Greeks. That's how the Greeks think. And they got women thinking like that. But we see right here, there's a bald-faced lie right here. She ain't going to inquire the Lord. She went right to Eber and Shem, the order of things. Okay. But they don't want you to know that. And then everybody, they predicating all, they understanding off of that. When that's a lie for the pit to hell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We know that Rebecca, when she was concerned about the children in her womb, you're saying that you know that she went to Isaac because it says the Lord heard the prayer of Isaac, and Is that how we know that Rebecca inquired of the Lord through Isaac?
Right. Well, she's a handmaiden of Isaac. She's in Isaac's house. We just read where Isaac, when Abraham's servant came back with her, that she saw her and she saw him, and he took her off of the camel and took her in the tent and consummated the relationship.
Right.
So once he consummated the relationship, she fall under his household.
Okay.
So if she got anything to do with the Lord, she got to go to her Lord. Then he go inquire for her.
Okay.
That's how I go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
they don't want you to know
it's
that.
null and void. It's null and void. Okay. In the land of our captivity, under the curses, Hebrew Israelite women calling themselves inquiring of the Lord, it's just something that we're doing because we are in this strange land and we're under the curses. But that's not our order. Okay.
Right. No, we are not as order. And then it's out of deception. It's not to denigrate nobody. It's just that you gotta get it right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so, like I said before, we see right here when Isaac inquired of the Lord, then he said he was entreated of him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hell, ain't Negroes inquiring of the Lord all over the place. We ain't getting nothing. Like the brother Dr. Claude Anderson said, when the Emancipation Proclamation went down, we own 1% of the wealth in America. Well, guess what? Today we own 1% of 1%.
Right.
Ain't nothing changed. What about all the prayers?
Right.
Because we dealing with an idol. That's why we ain't getting no results. These people getting results because they calling them they doing the order of things, and on top of that they calling the right person.
Okay, so let me ask you this real quick. When the women on Monday night are praying, is that not what we need to do?
Yeah. But that's the thing I was going to deal with. But like I say, it's always a bug in the rooms. But I had my apocrypha.
Mm-hmm.
I got the annotated apocrypha. Anyway, so it was what I was wanting to tell Esther. I told you that I could deal with it like this, but Esther was in a very unpeculiar situation than anybody else. I showed you plainly that the woman is subject to the man,
right?
And he got to do what like the angels got to pray for man, then the man got to pray for the woman. So, but Esther was in a situation, and with the whole nation of Israel on their back, what no man there for? Mordecai couldn't go in there. He can go to the gate. So Mordecai charged her and told her, "You got to go in there. Israel, the nation of Israel is on the line." So Esther went in there and she prayed to the Lord. Was nobody else there, but she told Mordecai, "Pray with me."
That's right.
Well, you had pray with me. So, like I say, take that on Monday nights. Get the men that's on the line too to pray on Monday, even though they ain't on the line.
Okay.
See?
Okay.
So that's how you do that. But like I said,
so go ahead. So we're gonna go ahead and put it out there, and we're gonna ask you as our moray, our teacher, and the other Hebrew Israelite men that are part of Prophets of Awakening to please lift us up to the Lord during Monday nights as we are in our class.
Right.
And I hope that the other ladies on the line that are part of the Monday night class will join me in that request.
Right. So that's always. It ain't just on Monday night. Whenever you anytime something come up or whatever, it should be and like I was saying before, when from the male perspective, Israelite perspective, he keep on asking him. Now, I'm gonna bring that up when next time we come together. I read it Saturday. He keep asking me, "Are you taking care of the widows? Are you taking care of the fatherless? What are you talking about? Are you praying for them? Because your prayers matter."
Okay.
So that's supposed to, when you thinking like a Hebrew and understand our culture, that's supposed to come natural. And like I said, it ain't we or an example of that is we Israelite men. I was showing you how all these women, the Most High, when he talk about them, he lay you out how they look. All of them was attractive. They was attractive till they aroused the men till they went flat crazy.
Right.
So when you understand that, you got to look at the like I said, when the Lord, we Israelite men, we look like our Maker. The angels, we look like them. And when the Most High was got a silhouette of a man.
Right.
But the angels, they eternal beings. They don't need no woman. They can't be looking at a woman in a lustful way, right?
Right.
So if an angel show up to you and he talking to you, you can't look at him like you looking at me. I'm a man.
Yeah.
Even though he look like a man, you got to do something else. He ain't that kind of party.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, but people not looking at that. They thinking, quite naturally, you sitting there, you sitting there feeling a certain type of way. That's a damn angel. You can't deal with him like that. See what I'm saying? It's the same thing with if I'm talking to you, and the Most High gave us orders about our relations with other women and according to who the woman is. You can't even begin to even try to look at them like that.
Right.
That's not even what the conversation is about. So back to what I was saying, when you look at it in that perspective, then I should automatically, as Israelite man, be praying for the women on the line.
Hallelujah. Thank you.
See what I'm saying? And I know that on Thursday, on Monday night, they have a women's line, and I should be praying. I should take out some time, 10 minutes or at 6 o'clock or 6:30, pray for them.
That's awesome.
You know what I'm saying?
Kind of
we ain't doing that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Right. Okay. So anybody else got anything? I don't have my book with me. But like I said before, it's two. If you go look at that, it's two prayers in there. And the Most High tells Mordecai tell Esther's maidservant to charge her to pray and to go in before the king because Israel is nobody else to stand in the gap for her. So she's in an unusual situation. So she goes in, she prays, and she tells Mordecai to pray for her too. Watch before she go in there. And so she goes in there. So it's not that she sitting there on her own, like I showed with Rebecca. Rebecca ain't going to pray to nobody else. It's not the call is not on her. She goes to Shem, Eber, and Abraham. Abraham inquired the Lord for him. Well, the person that's standing in place for Esther is Mordecai. And you have to understand that. So when you go to Esther 14 and 15, it's two prayers. Esther praying and Mordecai prays. Listen to what Mordecai praying, listen to what Esther praying, and you see what I'm talking about. Any more comments? Give me a minute.
No more comments. Just that you're way past the 2-hour mark.
But we got a certain time we got to get off of there?
Nah, I was just reminding you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was telling you. I went off 11. Okay, I got it right here. 165. I got it. It's not the same book, but I'll read it. I just want to show you that. Then I expound on it when I come back. Like I say, I went off and I had some images that I went and these images of these women behind me. I had them in the other apocryphal book and left it in the other car. Give me a minute. okay, it says, I'm in chapter 4 of Esther, says, then Esther, the queen, overwhelmed with a deadly anxiety, fell to the Lord. She took off her splendid clothing, put on a garment of distress and mourning, and instead of her rare perfumes, she covered her head with ashes, dung, and she abased her body utterly, and every part that she delighted to adore, she covered with her tangled hair, and she prayed to the Lord and said, "My Lord, our King, you stand alone. Help me, who am alone." That's what Mordecai charged her. He said, "You ain't nobody there standing the gap for you. You got to go in there." He told her maidservant to tell her that. You can't. You got to go. You got to do it. I can't go. I only come to this gate. So he says, "And have no helper but you." See that? The man ain't there. Mordecai, who was over the house, she under his household, he can't go in there. So she in a predicament where she got to do the praying, but she told Mordecai, pray with her. So it says, "For my danger is in my hands. Ever since I was born, I have heard in the tribes of my family that you, Lord, took." She's speaking out of what Mordecai had told her all her life. It says, "I have heard in the tribe of my family that you, Lord, took Israel from among all the nations and our forefathers from among all their ancestors, and everlasting possession, that you did for them all that you promised. But now we have sinned before you, and you have handed us over to our enemies because we glorify thy gods. You are upright, Lord, now. And now they are not satisfied that we are in bitter captivity, but they have made an agreement with their idols to abolish what your mouth has ordained and destroyed your possessions and stop the mouths of those who praise you and quench the glory of your house. And you alter and open the mouths of the heathens to praise unreal gods, so that a mortal king may be magnified forever. Lord, do not give up your scepter to those who have no being, and do not let them mock at our fall, but turn their playing against themselves and make an example of the man who has begun this against us. Remember, Lord, make yourself known in this time to our affliction and give me courage. King of the gods and holder of all dominion, put eloquent speech in my mouth before this lion and change his heart to hate the man who is fighting against us, so that there may be an end of him and of those who support him. But save us by your hand and help me, who stand alone." We keep letting you know that. Who stand alone and have no one but you, because Mordecai can't do it. He told the maidservant to tell her that, to charge her that. Says, "You know everything, and you know that I hate the splendor of the wicked, and I adore the bed of the uncircumcised. I abhor the bed of the uncircumcised and any alien. You know that I am forced to do, that I abhor the symbol of my proud position, which is placed upon my head on the days when I appear in public. I abhor it like a filthy rag and never wear it in private. Your slave has not eaten at Haman's table, and I have no honor in the king's feast or drink the wine of libation. Your slave has no joy for the day I was brought here until now, except you, O Lord of Abraham, O God, whose might is over all. Hear the voice of the despairing and save us from the hands of the evildoer. Save me from what I fear." And it came to pass on the third day, when she had ceased from praying, that she took off the clothes in which she had worshipped and dressed herself in splendor. When she was magnificently clad, she invoked the aid of the all-seeing God and Savior, and took with her 2 maids. One she leaned languorously, while the other followed her, carrying her train. She was radiant with her perfect beauty, and her face was happy as it was lovely, but her heart was in an agonizing fear. So this is what I'm telling you about what Mordecai told her. Said, and when she had gone through all the doors, she stood before the king, and she was seated on his royal throne, clad in all his magnificence and covered with a gold and precious stones. He was all inspiring, right? This is what Mordecai was telling her. This is the reason why she didn't want to go in there. But Mordecai told the maidservant to tell her, "You got to go in there. Ain't nobody else. You in a peculiar situation." And then he said, he raised his face, burning with splendor, and looked at her. Now watch this. He looked at her with a fiercest anger And the queen fell down and turned pale and fainted. That's what Mordecai was telling her. He was charging her. You got to do this. You don't want to do it, but you got to do it. You the only one. Ain't no man there. Ain't nobody standing in the gap. You got to do it. So then you go over here and you go to the prayer of Mordecai. And you'll see that Mordecai is complimenting her prayer. And like I said, it's my, I don't, yeah, okay, it says, no, let me find it. I don't want to just talk about it. Okay, let me see. Yeah, so this don't read. It's two in my apocryphal book. It's got two prayers. It's got a prayer of did you ever get that that other apocryphal book, Kevin? Did you get the animated apocryphal? Did you get the animated apocryphal book like I have?
No, I don't have that one.
Yeah, he's got two prayers in there. I went off and left it over there. I left it in another car, but it's two prayers. Esther prayed what I just read, but Haman, she also told her male servant to tell Mordecai to pray on her behalf for her, and then Mordecai charged charged her male servant to tell her to pray too. And that it ain't no time. There ain't no, it's nobody else, no Israelite, nobody else to go in until before the king. She got to do it. And he told her it's times like this. It's a time such as this where you have to be you got to do it. You got to be of courage, because she was afraid. She already knew she was gonna die. She was scared, and so he told her, you want to live and the rest of Israel die, or you gonna go in there and do what you have to do. I'm gonna pray. You pray. I'm gonna pray too. And so, and in the apocryphal books that I have, the reason I deal with it is just like I just showed you how they hoodwinked the King James. So, in the annotated apocrypha, it's got Esther's prayer, and it's got Haman. It's got Mordecai's prayer. I'm quite sure it's in here, but I'm looking all over. Yeah. So anyway, so he's praying. He got her to pray, but he also praying on her behalf too. And like I said, I showed you that before. I showed you that with Susanna. Susanna was in a similar predicament. They had found her guilty. She was on her way out the door to go out. They're going to kill her. And so all she could do was cry out. And when she cried out, the Most High dealt with Daniel on the spot. Any comments before we go? We had 2 hours and 30 minutes almost. Any comments or questions? Yeah. So, like I said before, my thing is that, you know, like I said, all I'm doing is, I hope I ain't offending nobody, but I'm just trying to lay the order out. Because, like I said, we, whether we know it or not, we at the very end, and we going back to Israel. We ain't going back to Israel like this. We going back to Israel with a right thinking like a Hebrew. Yeah. And yeah, like I said, another thing too, these you look back here behind me, see this right here, these images, they costing me. I gotta tell you that they costing me. So $5, $10, it don't matter. Every week I gotta get images. So $5 here, $5 there. Put it on the cash out, and you know that's gonna help. That's gonna help put out these images. Help me do what I'm doing. It's not for me. It's for me for the class. Okay. Somebody got something? Hello? Okay. Yeah, don't forget to do that. I need some help with those images. Anybody got anything else before we go? Okay. Shalom. And another shalom.